are continuing our coverage of NFL draft needs for all 32 NFL teams, and we thought we'd mix it up a little bit. Usually we like to go by draft order, teams, in terms of the top 5 draft needs for the teams in terms of how they drafted last year, but we're mixing it up today. We're going to the Kansas City Chiefs and going to their top 5 draft needs. Now, I have to be honest about the Chiefs. Honestly, the Chiefs are stacked. They really are. They seem to always be able to get in talent. Like guys like Trey Smith, I don't know how they were able to find a guy that was able to come in and just play like he did, especially as a 6th round pick. They get a lot of production out of guys like Byron Pringle, McCole Hardman. Of course, you have the best quarterback in the entire NFL. Even a guy like Nick Bolton was another guy they drafted. Like basically everybody they drafted, and Nick Bolton, not everybody they drafted, but guys like Nick Bolton and Trey Smith definitely were big reasons as to why they had such a promising year this year. And I think moving forward, there are a couple questions with the Kansas City Chiefs as it pertains to guys like Tyrann Mathieu. I believe McCole Hardman's in the last year of his rookie deal. Byron Pringle, I believe, is a free agent. So they've got some questions, but I think overall this is still a very talented team. They don't have a ton of cap space, which is going to be interesting to see how they, how and who they re-sign in this particular offseason, but we'll see when we get there. But I think we're going to go ahead and right ahead and start with the Chiefs draftee number 1, left tackle. Now, I need to start by saying this is all before free agency, so I don't know. If they re-sign a guy like Orlando Brown Jr., I would not be opposed to that. I would encourage it. See if they can get him on a relatively team-friendly deal. And I think it would be in their best interest to do so. So the reason I do that is because of the uncertainty that's going on with Orlando Brown Jr. I don't know what they're going to do with him, but with that in place, left tackle, especially for a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you need to get him protection. Pretty much everywhere else, I don't have a lot of questions on the offensive line, like we had kind of talked about. Joe Thuney's one of the best young guards. Not young, but he's one of the best guards still in the league. Creed Humphrey, another rookie they drafted, immediately came in and was a stud. They also got guys like Trey Smith, who came in as a 6th round pick and were really good. They've got a guy like Mike Remmers. I don't know how a guy like Mike Remmers continues to do it. I really don't. Ever since he was with the Vikings, I was like, okay, you know what? He's not going to be amazing, but he's going to be able to be serviceable enough to get the job done. And he only played 100 some odd snaps this year, because of injury. But overall, I just don't know how he's still here. You also got guys like Andrew Wiley, Lucas Niang, all those boys up front. So I don't have a lot of questions other than Orlando Brown Jr. at this point. So I think that's, drafting number 1, especially just for now, before they figure out what they're going to do with Orlando Brown Jr. And at that left tackle spot, I think that's their biggest draft need. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing moving forward. Protecting Patrick Mahomes' blind side, I think that's pretty easy to see that is draft need numero uno. Draft need number 2. I think it's safety. Now, I think the reason is because this is before free agency. I don't know what they're going to do with Tyrann Mathieu, who is, in my mind, I feel like he's just the epitome of their defense. He brings everything you want out and what they want in for a leader on defense. Juan Thornhill, I believe, is also in his last year of his contract. So, I think he has played very respectively. I want to say he had like over a 67. He had over a 70.0 PFF grade last year. So he's a very good player for the Chiefs. But I do also know that he is in the last year, going into his this is his last year being on that deal. And I think, after signing a 4-year deal, I think he was a guy that you thought you were just kind of wondering, a guy that plays right next to Tyrann Mathieu. At least I was. But he has been a very big find for them. He's been a very big piece of what they've done. And, Thornhill's got 1 more year. Tyrann Mathieu maybe bring him back another 2-year deal. He is the heart and soul of that defense, and I think he's a big reason as to why they've been so successful for a long time, or at least he's at least kept that defense together. There's no question. Chiefs draft need number 3, defensive tackle. Now, I think the biggest thing here, again, this is all before free agency, so we're making this voice crack. That's awesome. So you got guys like Derek Nadi, also Jaron Reed, who had kind of a sorts of what's the word here? A resurgence for his career. Former 2nd round pick out of Alabama. I loved him coming out of Alabama. I thought he was just a hand. Had a couple sacks for him this year. Overall, had a 46.7 PFF grade. Not great, but I think it was, he did his job, which was to come in and have some, was to come in and have an impact. He definitely had an impact. He's a good player for him. So I think overall, moving forward, I think the Chiefs need to see what they can do to get a guy that was, in my mind, as disruptive as Chris Jones. Now that Chris Jones is, the end, I think, you really want to see what you can get on the inside in terms of pressure, but I really feel like, overall, you also got Frank Clark on the other side. So I really would like to see them get some more help on that interior pass rush, but we'll see what happens. Also, you can all mix some things up. Draft a defensive end and kick Chris Jones back to D tackle. I don't know. We're just getting crazy here. It's off season. That's what it's for. And the draft need number 4 for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think, is corner. I think at this point, you've got a lot of different things going on with this secondary. Obviously, Charvarius Ward, I believe, is a free agent as well. And L'Jarius Sneed. I like L'Jarius Sneed, but you also got a guy like Mike Hughes, the former Minnesota Viking. I thought he was respectable. I definitely did. But I think overall, this secondary needs a little bit of help. And honestly, it is one of those things where this has become it's a passer get the passer league. So I think the more amount of good corners you can go ahead and grab, it's in your best interest to do so. So good pass rushers, good corners. L'Jarius Sneed's got a couple more years on his contract, so you're good with him there. Also, Mike Hughes, I believe he signed a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken, or it might be in the last year of his rookie deal. I can't remember. I wouldn't be opposed if you continue to keep him around for a long term. I think he's definitely had kind of a resurgence, and like I said, on the other side, with a guy like L'Jarius Sneed over a 64.0 PFF grade. So overall, I think the Chiefs would be in their best interest to make sure that they're grabbing or continuing to grab some quality corners, because it never hurts to have, as we saw with Mike Zimmer, it just never hurts to have another quality corner. And he was kind of hurts he was right, because corners are they're not exactly a dime a dozen these days. If you can get a couple of good ones, you can make some noise in that defensive secondary. Chiefs draft need number 5. I think it's wide receiver. This kind of comes as a shock to me personally, because if you just kind of look, obviously if you think of guys like Travis Kelce, also you're probably never going to move on from a guy like Tyreek Hill. The two of the best combo there, obviously the big three in Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. But overall, I believe Byron Pringle's in the last year of his contract, guys like Demarcus Robinson as well, from my recollection. So I think there's a lot that kind of is going to go on here. I think there's a lot that needs to happen in order for them to be able to continue to make their, when you think of the Chiefs, they're just such a firepower-studded team now. At the end of while wide receiver is a need, I don't think it's necessarily it's not their biggest need. It's really not, because if you got a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you can count on him to be able to elevate everybody else around him. I think you solve that left tackle problem. I think you get some more interior pressure up there. I think you also need to find a way to continue to get good corners, address that safety position, re-sign Tyrann Mathieu, and I think you're good to go. But overall, if they want to go in a cheaper route, there's a lot of good safeties in this class, and we're going to get to that moving forward. But I think there's a lot going for the Chiefs right now. They're still in win now mode, especially with a guy like Patrick Mahomes at the helm at quarterback. So they got a lot of good things going for them. Just got to figure out a couple of positions here. But overall, I think the Chiefs are in a good position. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome. We love every single one of you. In the description down below, you'll find all of our social media platforms. So give us a like and a follow there. Also, remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think of our take of the Kansas City Chiefs' top 5 NFL draft needs.